This video will show how I do the 4 diamonds granny square pattern. I start with a slip knot on the hook. My camera is in front of me and it makes things awkward. Okay, slip knot on the hook. Chain 4. Slip stitch in the first chain to join. And that forms a ring. Chain 3, which equals a double crochet. Three double crochet in the ring. And now we're going to form a corner. We do a chain 3. So we've got one side of the square, which is the equivalent of 4 double crochets. We've got a corner, which is chain 3, and we're going to continue on in that manner. 4 double crochet for each side, chain 3 for each corner. Now we have all 4 sides, which consist of 4 double crochet per side, and then we've got the first 3 corners. Now we're going to work on the last corner, and instead of a chain 3 we're going to do a chain 2, and we're going to do a needle join. So let me show you how I do that. I'm going to pull up a loop a little bit, remove my hook, get my scissors, snip the yarn, find my yarn needle. This little container is wonderful. It's got a little tiny magnet in there, and then this lid slides on so I can carry these needles with me wherever I go and they don't fall out because there's a little tiny magnet in there. I don't know if you can see it, but it's in there. I also have a bobby pin in there. Okay, now I will pull this loop all the way out, thread the end of the yarn into the yarn needle. Now I have 2 chains instead of 3 for the corner, and what I'm going to do is join. It's done by a needle join in the first double crochet, not in the chain 3. To remember that we started with a chain 3, which represents the first double crochet. We're not going to join in that. We're going to the next stitch, which is right here. It's actually the first double crochet, and we are going to insert the needle under both loops of the top of that stitch from front to back. Pull that through. I'm trying to adjust the tension so that it's similar to all the other stitches nearby. Here are my 2 chains of the corner, and I'm about to make my 3rd chain of the corner by putting the yarn needle in that last chain, going from front to back. And I am adjusting the tension. So as you can see, that needle join formed the third chain, so to speak, of the corner. Now, to finish the needle join, I turn the piece over, and there are several ways you can do this. You can weave in and out along these stitches, or you can come over here and weave in and out along these. It doesn't matter. You'll just have to find what you prefer. But I like to slowly and carefully weave the end down along that initial chain 3, and I like to have the yarn coming out rather close to the first tail, and then I like to tie the two tails together in a knot. And if I want to, I can make a square knot, which is a little more secure. On the first knot, I don't tighten it, I don't pull it very tight, but on the second one I can pull it pretty tight, and that won't distort the configuration of the stitches. Then I thread the yarn back into the needle and find a place to weave in the end. And because I've tied that knot, the function of stitching or hiding these ends is more just to keep them from flopping out. So I don't go back and forth since I already have that knot, but you can do it if you want to. And I snip the yarn close to the work. And then on this last piece, it's very short. I could have made it longer, but let me show you how I weave in the ends of a very short piece. I go ahead and put the needle where I want it, and then carefully try to get that end into the needle, and then pull it through the stitches. Snip it close to the fabric, and there we have round 1 completed. Now, round 2 involves black yarn. You can use whatever color of yarn you want. I chose black for a nice contrast. Round 2 is going to be slip stitching in the back loop of every stitch around, and it does not matter where you start, and you do not start with a knot in your yarn or on your hook. I just made a loop and I hold it between my fingers, and then I find any stitch, insert the hook from front to back under just the back loop, grab that loop, pull it through, then continue on around doing slip stitches in the back loop of every stitch. You want to be careful not to get your tension too tight, or else you'll distort the shape of your square. But you see I'm even slip stitching in the back loop of the chain stitches in the corners. I'll do that all the way around and show you how I join it. Okay, I now have done the slip stitch in the back loop all the way around until I have 2 stitches left. So back loop, slip stitch, and there's the last one, slip stitch in the back loop. Okay, now I'm going to snip my yarn, pull it all the way out, thread it into the yarn needle, And I'm doing an invisible join, also known as a needle join, under the 2 loops of the first slip stitch I made. And back into the last stitch. Pull it just gently until all the stitches look the same. Turn it over to the back, and here's what I do on the back. I take out the needle, I tie it in a knot gently the first time, tightly the second time, and then I weave in the ends. And you can go as far as you want to around the circle with that tail, but I'm satisfied that that's going to work. So I will just snip that, and then I'll work on this tail. I am not as tidy, I should say, or vigorous about weaving in my ends as I've seen other crocheters are. And the reason I am not is because I find myself unraveling things pretty often. Because I'm a designer, I keep thinking of new ways to improve things, and so I end up unraveling things and doing them again. I have no problem with unraveling things. Learn something new every time. Okay, round 2 is now complete. And that's what the back looks like. Now we're ready for round 3. Okay, for round 3, we start with a standing stitch, which means with a knot on the hook, slip knot on the hook. And the first stitch of the round is an extended double crochet. And this says to work over the slip stitches from round 2 and into the spaces of round 1. And we're working extended double crochet stitches in every corner. So to start a standing extended double crochet, I yarn over once, insert the hook, yarn over, pull the loop through, yarn over and pull through just 1 loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So we have made an extended double crochet. Now to complete this corner, to continue on with this corner, we will do 3 more extended double crochet stitches. Whoops. Chain 3, and 4 extended double crochet stitches. One more. So there's the corner, and then on the side we have a chain 2. 1, 2. So we will work that same configuration in each of the next 3 corners. Okay, I have completed all the 4 corners, and I still have to do the last. Normally it would be 2 chains on this last side, but the pattern says to do just 1 chain. And the reason for that is we're going to needle join into that first stitch. Now you could do two chains if you want, and then needle join into the second double crochet. Either way, however you want to do it. I'm going to try this way. I've been satisfied with it so far, but you never know. I might change around and do it another way sometime. It's good to be flexible and realize that there are many ways to do the same task. All right, so into the first loop of the first stitch, front to back, into the chain, front to back, pull it so that the tension makes a lovely chain stitch, turn it over, remove the needle, take the 2 ends, tie them in a gentle knot, tie them in a snug knot, weave in the ends. I appreciate needle joins because it forces me to weave in the ends after I change color every round. If this makes you uncomfortable that I'm cutting off the yarn after just a short distance, you just feel free to weave to your heart's content. But like I said, I often unravel things, so I've gotten in the habit of not being too overly cautious with weaving in ends, because I often need to undo where they went, and it can be very frustrating if you've woven them in several different directions. Okay, there's the end of round 3. I personally think it's very attractive the way the bottoms of the stitches are puffy, because we've worked over not just 1 round but 2 rounds of stitches. Okay, we have now completed round 4, which is done exactly the same as round 2, just using black yarn or any contrasting color you want. Slip stitch in the back loop of every stitch around, and needle join and weave in the ends, just the same as round 2. Okay, now round 5 says to start with a slip knot on the hook, and working over round 4 stitches and into the spaces of round 3, we start in the corner with a slip stitch. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, slip stitch in the same corner. So what we've done is we've created an anchor for the next round. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're skipping to the next chain 2 space, which is right here, and we're working 4 treble crochets, chain 3, and 4 treble crochets. So treble crochet involves winding the yarn around the hook twice, and it works better if you kind of hold all these loops with your finger close to the point of the hook. insert the hook, yarn over again, pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2. So we've made a treble crochet, and we will make 3 more. So there are 4 treble crochet stitches, and notice I'm kind of scooching them over. And then we have a chain 3 and 4 more treble crochet stitches in the same space. Whoops, that happens to me sometimes. And while I'm at it, let me share a little tip with you. Sometimes on the longer stitches, like the treble crochet and the double treble crochet stitches, the yarn gets really splitty and it's very frustrating. So what I've discovered works just fine is insert your hook, and then on that first yarn over, yarn under, and then continue on with yarn overs and pulling through just like normal. But just that one extra motion of yarn under kind of gives the yarn a little bit of a twist that you wouldn't normally get, and it makes it a little easier to keep those stitches from being so awkward. And once you get the piece completely finished, it's not very obvious at all that you've done that. And that works even on double crochet stitches, and even half double crochet stitches, and even single crochet stitches. If you're working with really splitty yarn, do a yarn under on that very first yarn over and, well, yarn under and pull through. Okay, so what have we got here? We've got 4 trebles, chain 3, and 4 trebles, and the next thing is to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we continue with our repeat, which is to make another anchor, which is a slip stitch, chain 4, slip stitch in the same location, and we will just continue that around until we have 4 corners and 4 anchors in between the corners. I have now completed most of round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm at the last chain 3, but because it's the last one and I'm about to do a needle join into the first stitch, I'm doing only a chain 2, because the needle join will act as the 3rd chain. I'm joining right there in that first loop from the standing, actually it was a standing slip stitch. It makes sense to weave in the ends along this chain because we're going to be working over this chain on the next round, and whatever ends we put in there will be even more secure once we do that. I don't necessarily weave in the ends exactly the same way every single time, just what feels right at the time. Okay, round 5 is now complete.